So yes, definitely part of the colonialism was, you would say, like a little bit of like extractive policies and over taxation. But actually, in terms of trade, I want to highlight you going back to the American Civil War. So prior to the American Civil War, cotton was predominantly grown in the American South and was shipped over to Britain in the textile mills around Manchester. So that was the hub of the textile industry there. Due to the war, ships could not go from the American South to UK. And what happened? India stepped in, and you saw a lot more cotton being grown in India. You saw a lot of even textile mills which were set up later on. The Indian Railways was set up to transport cotton to Bombay, and from there to go on ship to England. And after that, the University of Mumbai was set up by the profits of the merchants. So University of Bombay, as it was known then, via this trade and the profits that is generated. So you can clearly see that at a particular time, trade can benefit India. It has benefited India. Another example, one way that I would say is UK faced a big trade deficit with China. They were importing a lot of tea and certain spices and silk. At least for tea, they did manage to grow it in India, which they had a little more leverage due to the colonial rule. And you made India like a nation of tea drinkers as well. Case where you saw a substitution. So this is one thing. Then if you see what happened in India is after the colonial era. So definitely Gandhi said that yes, Britain was using India for its raw materials and then using it as a market for its finished products, right? And there was a little more leverage in Britain's way than India's way. But that doesn't mean that India should have totally stopped and closed down on international trade, right? I think we learned the wrong lessons probably, or maybe what was appropriate for 1940s and 1950s. India remained a closed economy pretty much. There was a small opening in early 80s, but in 1991, when India really opened up its economy, the second part is due to India's large percentage of the population being agrarian and in all the free trade agreements to protect its agricultural sector, India has not been very keen on signing up FTAs with the rest of the world. India did sign a few FTAs with Japan, South Korea, ASEAN. And what happened at that point is you saw India was having an FTA with the countries which have a trade surplus with large manufacturing hubs. And so what happened is India saw a bit of deindustrialization because a lot of the manufacturing jobs moved away from India. It did not suit India with its surplus labor could actually export things to, right? So now what has happened is we are seeing like a huge amount of geopolitical churn. This is not unlike, you would say, this whole period, I would say, it started since the great financial crisis, COVID, and now you've got this Russia-Ukraine war. It's not unlike periods of like, say, World War II, where you saw like kind of end of colonialism after that. Or as I mentioned earlier, the American Civil War, right? What this is you're seeing a lot of supply chains are moving away. You've had like China, who's been like a monopoly exporter, big manufacturer. A lot of countries want to get away from just one supplier because you could have supply chain issues. Similarly, UK has actually decided that for various reasons, more political reasons, it doesn't want to be tied into the EU and wants to keep its own sovereignty. And hence, losing out on one trade partner, UK is looking at other trade partners in Australia, India, the Caribbean, where they had historical links due to the British Empire, as well as they have a common language also uniting like all these countries, right? So that's another thing. And I would say specifically here, right now, why does UK and India kind of complementary in skill sets or what resources we have? See, UK is a small country with a small population, small rich population. There's a lot of surplus capital, right? India is a young population, a very highly populated country, excess of labor, but lack of capital, right? India has strengths in like information technology. UK has strengths in finance, in law, in capital raising, right? So these are kind of complementary skill sets. UK has a trade deficit with the rest of the world, but also has a trade deficit currently with India as well, right? So I think that's another thing. So I think all of these things I would say put together, it's the right timing. A lot of these things have to fall into place at the right time and given kind of like shared values. And unlike like the colonial rule where there was too much leverage on one side, I would say like India and UK, both are about $3 trillion economies, right? So both are roughly equal economies, but a very different shape and size. So I think free trade between like these two nations can benefit both of them, right? So I think that's also another thing to be noted. So Yeah, that's where we are from history till now, and India also at this moment. So I think like in 90s we opened up the economy, and now what India is going out and doing is over the last 30 years we found out where India was lacking. There's a lot more push on infrastructure. There's a lot more push on manufacturing at home, and now there's a lot more push of getting more integrated in the world economy. Two FTAs have been signed: one with Australia, one with the UAE. There's talks of FTA with the UK, also probably with Saudi Arabia, with Israel, so and maybe the EU. So what is happening is India is opening out to the world. As I said, like these are kind of pivotal moments or these kind of events where a lot of people are changing their geostrategic partners. So yeah, it happens to be at the right place in the right time.